Hello, Thing.
Among all the mysteries surrounding the Addams family, a family that's already, by itself, a collection of secrets, peculiar traditions, and unforgettable figures, there's one that has never stopped intriguing generations of fans. Thing, just a simple hand, or maybe not so simple after all. With the arrival of Wednesday Season 2 on Netflix, audiences are once again asking who or what exactly is Thing. Has he always been just a disembodied hand? Is there a body hidden somewhere? Or does his story hold a past much stranger than we imagine? Ever since he appeared in Charles Addams' original comic strips back in the 1930s, Thing has evolved from a mysterious presence, almost a visual gag, into one of the franchise's most charismatic and essential characters. He's been a shadow, he's been part of a complete body. He's gained his own life through special effects, and more recently, he won hearts in the Wednesday series with expressions as human as any other character. Today, we're going to open the box, literally, and explore Thing's origins, theories, curiosities, and evolution, from his birth in Charles Addams' drawings to the role he plays in the Addams family's irresistible world. So get ready to discover that behind every gesture and every finger, there's much more history than you imagine. Thing's story begins long before he took the shape we know today. His creator, Charles Addams, was an American cartoonist known for turning the eccentric into humor, publishing his strips in The New Yorker since the 1930s. It was in this eccentric universe that Thing, or Thing T. Thing, as he was sometimes called, made his debut. In the beginning, he wasn't just a hand. The first time he appeared was in 1954 in the book Homebodies by Charles Addams, which compiled cartoons previously published in The New Yorker. At that time, Thing had no defined form. He appeared as something invisible, represented only by a sign in front of the mansion reading, "Beware of the Thing." This mysterious approach was intentional. Charles Addams wanted readers to fill in the blanks with their own imagination of what Thing could be. In those original drawings, Thing was portrayed in different ways, sometimes a hand emerging from boxes and drawers, other times a shadow lurking in corners. In some rare sketches, he appeared with a body, head, legs, and arms. Charles Addams' cartoons didn't follow strict continuity. Sometimes Thing was just a mysterious presence felt rather than seen. There was no clear rule, and not even Charles Addams himself seemed to have decided what his true form was. When the Addams Family was adapted for TV in the 1960s, producer David Levy needed to transform that vague concept into something viable for filming. The practical and genius solution was to define Thing as a living hand that emerged from boxes strategically placed throughout the mansion, inspired by Charles Addams' illustrations. And guess what? That decision changed everything. For the first time, Thing gained a unique visual identity, both frightening and entertaining. Actor Ted Cassidy, who also played Lurch, was the first to bring the character to life. To do this, he spent hours hidden under sets, inserting his arm through openings so only the hand would appear. It was technical and uncomfortable work, but it produced some of the series' most iconic scenes. Here's a fascinating behind-the-scenes detail that most fans don't know. When Lurch and Thing appeared together in the same scene, which was relatively rare, the production used a simple but clever trick. Ted Cassidy would appear on camera as Lurch, while Thing was actually performed by another crew member, usually assistant director Jack Voglin, or sometimes even the director himself. Kind of wild when you think about it, right? This gave audiences the illusion that both characters were present simultaneously, but they were actually two different people performing. This dual-role challenge became one of the series' most interesting technical aspects, showing just how resourceful 1960s television production could be. From there, things stopped being just a mystery on the New Yorker pages and became a fundamental part of the sitcom cast, ready to appear at the most unexpected moments. And that moment didn't just solve a production problem, it marked the beginning of Thing's long journey into pop culture. The evolution of a hand Thing's transformation into a pop culture icon didn't happen overnight. After the success on TV in the 60s, where he became a regular character thanks to David Levy's ingenuity and Ted Cassidy's performance, Thing gained new versions with each Addams Family adaptation. In the 90s, with advances in special effects, Thing finally got legs, or rather fingers, to move freely around the set. But here's the kicker. The filming process was incredibly complex. Christopher Hart would often spend 12 to 14 hours a day with his hand in uncomfortable positions, following chalk marks on the floor to walk Thing across scenes. For running sequences, the production team used a combination of practical effects, invisible wires, forced perspective, and Hart literally doing handstands to simulate things' movement. The car driving scene in Addams Family Values required Hart to lie underneath the vehicle, steering with his hand while the car was actually being controlled remotely. Finding the right hand for Thing is more challenging than you'd think. Casting directors look for very specific qualities: expressive fingers, good muscle control, and the ability to convey emotion through gesture alone. Hart's background in magic gave him the dexterity and showmanship needed. Dorobantu's mime training that brought a completely different kind of physical storytelling to the role. From that point on, Thing became an action character with his own comedic timing. This rare combination made him more than just a visual gimmick. He became an active part of the stories, helping with plans, solving problems, and even saving lives. When we get to Netflix's Wednesday series, the technical evolution took another leap. Played by Victor Dorobantu, a Romanian magician and hand model, Thing gained unprecedented emotional depth. What's fascinating is how this process evolved between seasons. In season 1, nobody on the team initially knew how to pull it off. As Dorobantu himself revealed, nobody knew how to do it. We came up with ideas together. We started from zero, literally zero. The learning curve was steep for everyone involved. Victor Dorobantu spends 3 hours in preparation each day, getting into a blue chroma key bodysuit and applying prosthetics. The makeup team, led by Tristan Verslui, had to create different prosthetic stumps for different scenes, sometimes changing them multiple times during a single day to match the lighting and camera angles. Here's where it gets really interesting. The production team kept a suitcase full of things on set, different prosthetic hands for different moves and stunts. The filming process itself is incredibly complex. For every scene with Thing, they shoot it 3 times. First with Dorobantu in the blue suit acting with the other characters, then the exact same scene without him to capture the background, and finally reference shots, with lighting charts and color balls for the VFX team. As VFX supervisor Tom Turnbull explained, we're painting out 90% of the human being that's dominating the shot and keeping the 10% that's the hand. It's actually very hard to do. The crew had to learn to light scenes in ways that wouldn't create shadows from Dorobantu's body, while production designer Mark Scruton had to build sets similar to designing sets for the Muppets, with trapdoors, removable sections, and endless options for hiding a full-grown person. But perhaps the most challenging aspect was the physical demands. Victor Dorobantu spent long hours in awkward positions, upside down, under floors, behind walls, and even inside walls. For movement scenes, they developed creative solutions, like using a dolly to carry him around for smooth, fast motion when Thing needed to run across rooms. Interestingly, Thing's popularity from Wednesday has made Dorobantu something of a celebrity himself. In recent years, Dorobantu has even appeared in international commercials, including campaigns showing that Thing's appeal goes far beyond the show itself, as Miles Miller noted about Season 2. Over the course of the 3 years we've been making the show, Victor has become so dexterous and adds so much personality to his performance. When you watch Thing on screen, he expresses such innate humanity. This technical and narrative journey transformed a vague concept from the 1950s comics into a 3-dimensional character with history, personality, and his own fans. Between legends, powers, and mysteries, if there's one character in the Addams family surrounded by more theories than answers, it's Thing. After all, where did he come from? And how is it possible that a simple living hand can do so much? Among fans, curious theories circulate about Thing's origins. Some say he's been with the Addams family for generations, part of a long lineage of servant hands. Others claim he's the severed hand of a senior lurch, victim of some mysterious infection. Then there's the Frankenstein theory, experiments gone right, gaining autonomy. But none of these fan theories are confirmed, and the purposeful silence of the scripts only makes the fascination stronger. In fact, not even Charles Addams himself defined Thing's origin. That ambiguity, totally intentional. Whatever his origin, one thing is certain: Thing isn't just a living hand. He possesses impressive and, in a way, frightening abilities. He runs on his fingers to walk, climbs vertical surfaces, opens safes, deciphers documents, and even plays chess with precision. He's capable of communicating using sign language, Morse code, or even written notes, being able to immobilize people like when he briefly strangles Uncle Fester. Iconic moments reinforce his indispensable role. In the 90s movies, he rescues Morticia from a kidnapping and helps Gomez discover the truth about the conspiracy against the family. In the Wednesday series, he investigates alongside Wednesday the mysteries of Nevermore Academy, saving her more than once. In the 60s TV classic, he stars in an unlikely love story with Lady Fingers, the cousin hand who steals his heart, a romance as peculiar as its protagonist. Every appearance of Thing is a reminder that in the Addams world, even the most unlikely can become essential, and even the smallest can carry a great story. Thing has gone from being a curious detail in comic strips to becoming a recognizable member of every Addams Family version. He's been present in almost every version, but not always the same. In the 1964 classic, his presence was limited by technical restrictions. Custom-made boxes in every room of the mansion allowed him to appear suddenly, creating a mix of humor and fright for visitors. In the 70s and 80s, in animations and TV specials, Thing gained more mobility and physical humor, becoming even more expressive. In the 90s, the movie adaptations gave him unprecedented prominence. Fan theories about Thing have grown increasingly elaborate over the decades. One popular theory suggests he's actually a time traveler, explaining how he always knows exactly when and where to appear. Another proposes that Thing is the collective consciousness of all previous Addams Family servants, like Lurch, bound together in another form. The most intriguing theory connects Thing to the broader supernatural elements of the Addams universe. Some fans believe he's a guardian assigned to protect the family from threats they can't see coming. This would explain his uncanny ability to sense danger and his fierce loyalty to Wednesday specifically, a hand that carries stories. From a simple idea on New Yorker pages to the position of indispensable ally on Netflix screens, Thing has traveled an unlikely path, and maybe that's why it's so captivating. He's proved that a character can be born from a visual joke, reinvent himself every decade, and still preserve his essence, loyalty, ingenuity, and a touch of mystery. Thing doesn't speak but communicates. He has no eyes but sees what matters. He doesn't have a body but moves entire plots. He's a reminder that in the Addams universe, the unlikely always finds a place, and even a solitary hand can hold the narrative firmly. And maybe that's why we remain fascinated, because Thing isn't just an eccentric helper. He's a character with whom we create a silent but deep bond, a companion who always appears at the right moment. Pretty remarkable for a hand, don't you think? Now tell me, what's your favorite Thing moment in all of Addams Family history? And of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm Raphael CG. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.